In the twilight, where shadows blend, two paths diverge, where whispers end. Secrets of old, in the cool night air, a gathering place for the brave and the rare. With ancient stones and a flickering light, the witch stands firm, ready to fight. For choices made in the darkened woods can alter fate, as destiny should. Her hands weave spells, a tapestry spun, of wishes and dreams under the moon rising. Each step she takes on this sacred ground echoes a power and silence abound. Choose your path, the night seems to sigh. Embrace the unknown, let your spirit fly. With herbs and charms she calls to the spirits and stars, unlocking the magic, mending the scars. At the crossroads where futures collide, she beckons the night with shadows as guides, a cauldron of wisdom, of loss and gain. In this sacred moment, all paths are plain. So here at the crossroads, both fragile and bold, the witch finds her strength in the stories of old. With every decision, a new journey begins, at the heart of the crossroads, where magic begins. How was that for an intro? Or was that too long? I don't know, I was trying something different. Anyway, today is going to be another off-the-cuff video. I had started doing a spell, a Crossroads spell, and once I was leaving my house to go to the Crossroads, I was like, wait a minute, I don't have a lot of videos of me actually performing spells, and I don't think I've done anything for like the Crossroads yet. So I was like, oh my gosh, I should film this. I don't know why I sound like a chicken right there. Did you hear that? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Anyway, I grab a little tiny tripod to bring with me, and then I take you guys to the woods. I'm just going to explain some stuff about Crossroads and Crossroads Magic and the folklore, and then when I'm done with that, I'm going to show you my spell that I did. So again, this video is off the cuffs, or off the cuff, whatever it is, you know what I mean. It's been such a long day. There's piles of Halloween decorations in front of you because I'm still taking down my Halloween decorations. Crossroads Folklore. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with the basic symbol that crossroads make, a cross, or in a lot of cases, a T. So the T shape, as well as the cross, has been linked to the Babylonians. More specifically, the Chaldea, who are descended from the Babylonians. Most people lump them in together, even though they are different people, but anyway. But this shape, the cross and the T shape, has existed from at least the 3rd millennia. It represented their god, I might butcher this, Tammuz? One of those. But anyway, Tammuz, who in different eras stood for other things, but what he became known for was seasonal death, and then the rebirth of crops, so cycles, life and death. The cross was used by the Babylonians, or Chaldeans, to worship Tammuz for seasonal death and rebirth. And this was around the 2nd millennia that's what this god was worshipped for. Because he was worshipped beforehand, but he had different things that he stood for, I should say. But the cross, or the T symbol, started with Mesopotamia, which is really cool if you think about Mesopotamia. They were like one of the first places to like develop agriculture, so you know, obviously this was a very distinct god for them. But not only that, but they were at the crossroads of the Egyptian and the Indus Valley civilization. Like, could be pattern seeking again, but still really cool to point out. And then obviously from there, the cross spread to Egypt. There's still like ancient paintings showing ancient Egyptians wearing or holding crosses, because it was very common for pagan priests to wear crosses at that time before it was adapted for Christianity. Then, obviously, after this incorporation, we get the Ankh, which is otherwise known as the key of life. With, like, the Ankh's earliest, like, pictures of it, I think, going to, like, 3000 BC, but some people say, like, 40,000 BC. That's a big difference. Cool. But I'm not going to go much more in depth with like symbols and like witchcraft, paganism, Wicca, the occult, and magical practices, because I'm going to be doing a video on that in the future. So if you want to know more about that, you're going to have to wait to the future. I'm sorry, I just want to distract too much from this video. So don't forget to subscribe, please. And don't forget to like the video if you like the video. Okay, bye. I'll just give like one more symbol, and that's the ancient Egyptians had their own hieroglyphic for crossroads, which is so easy to decipher, thankfully. And this is what it looked like. Anyway, I'm just more or less like alluding to the fact that things crossing, such as a chunk of symbols, and more importantly, for like the subject matter of this video, roads had a symbolic meaning. Sorry, there's an airplane going by. Intermission. But to retouch on that, basically roads intersecting or crossing had a very specific and spiritual meaning. Basically, it was the in-between of crossing one space into another. A liminal space. A liminal space means in between. Like a threshold. It is because the word liminal derives from the Latin word limen, not lemon, limen, which means threshold. In these beliefs, it was physical as well as spiritual. This is why that like in a lot of cultures, certain people would be buried at a crossroad somewhere, because like these mark like the edge of town, or like even like the village that they lived in, and others because they were violent people being buried, and the townspeople didn't want their angry ghosts coming back and like seeking vengeance. Not only that, but like hanging bodies at like a crossroad would also serve as like a warning to people coming into your town that like you meant business. But they would also bury victims of people who passed away due to their violent acts, even though the person being buried wasn't part of the violent acts, but just to make sure that there wasn't like a vengeful ghost seeking revenge among the townspeople. Oh my gosh. This is why they were buried in these liminal spaces, the in-between. Some it's for confusing the spirits. Some it was they didn't want to be buried in their normal burying ground for those types of people. And of course, the other reason is because of the ghost roads, the corpse paths, the corpse roads, etc., etc. And if you don't remember me talking about that, that is in my ley line video, where I go all into like old earth magic and all these types of beliefs in depth and in detail. So like I'll link that up here like nowish, and then I'll also like tie it to the end of the video, because if you want more details on like ghost roads and ley lines and flight paths of the corpses, I go in depth in that, and that's basically the video dedicated to ley lines and earth magic and energy points and all that stuff. So it's up, well, it was up here, and then it's going to be at the very end of the video. Okay, so moving on to like that liminal space that the crossroads like represent, there are of course liminal gods and goddesses. Now I'm sure the ones that like you're most familiar with, or the ones that instantly jump to mind, are like Hecate, Hermes, Papa Legba, Diana, Janus, Enodia, Mention, Osiris. There's so many more. I'm trying to go from the top of my head. But anyway, there's a lot more than that, and they're all tied to liminal space. And these are across all different cultures and all different beliefs. I really can't think of any more off the top of my head. I should have wrote this down, so if I didn't mention like a lesser known deity that you work with that is a liminal space god or goddesses, I'm going to try to put as many up on screen. That way I'm not forgetting anybody, because that always makes me feel bad, because I always remember after I'm filming and I'm not going to make another video edit clip of me. So hopefully you saw the name up there. Because crossroads are these liminal spaces, this is a time where people would travel there to like worship, work with, and petition these liminal gods and goddesses, as well as like communicating with like the fae and elementals, ghosts, and other supernatural entities, which we're gonna circle back to in a little bit. Other people would go like at great lengths to avoid the crossroads because of these beliefs. So on one hand, you have people like actively like pilgrimaging to crossroads to try and petition like all these gods and goddesses, and other people would just be like, nope, and completely avoid them. Now, when we break down crossroads as like a liminal space, we see a connection through multiple different cultures and through multiple different belief systems, including Christianity. The crossroads in like Christianity symbolize like a turning point where we kind of look at our path, you know, like where we are in life, and we decide where to go or to ask for divine guidance from none other than God, which isn't that different from like other beliefs. The spiritual guidance just comes like in different forms from different people and their different beliefs. And this is where we get into that deeper meaning of crossroads. There's the spiritual and metaphysical interpretation, and then there is the physical one at standing at a physical crossroads, which sometimes aren't always what you think, but we'll touch on that in a second. But the spiritual meaning of a crossroads means that we're standing at like a transitional point in our lives, and choices that can make us feel or just feel overwhelming, and we have to at least take a second to think of where we're going. Now, crossroads don't have to be two intersecting paths or roads. Remember, liminal space means transition. It means threshold. So this can be where two elements meet. The shore of like a lake or a creek where the body of water meets land, to stairway landings or just stairways in general, because you're going up in between those floors. You're not on one floor or the other. You're in the stairway. I know that probably sounds weird, but really think about it. That's a liminal space. That would be a crossroads. Plus, add in like that paranormal, like and spiritual belief of spiral staircases, circling in repeated movements, like how some people physically cast their circles or call their corners. They will physically move in a circle or make that vortex or that Ouroboros swirling and whatnot, going all the way up and up in between all these spaces, so on and so forth. Where fields meet forests, that's another one, like meadows, like right on the edge of a forest. That is another liminal space. That is an in-between. That is a threshold. That would also be considered a crossroad. Graveyards, hallways, corridors, entranceways like door frames and windows. Side note, this is why if you watch my in-depth spiritual cleansing for like my home, you'll see me do stuff for all my door frames, although I don't think I recorded the stuff that I did for my windows, but I do everything over my thresholds, my doorways, because again, that is liminal space. But don't forget that this also stands for times of day, like dawn, afternoon, dusk, and midnight. Not to mention the two equinoxes that aren't too far off from the 2 points of the year where the veil is considered the thinnest. Wow. The spring equinox, which is right next to Beltane, where the veil is also believed to be at its thinnest, and the fall equinox, which isn't that far away from Samhain, when the veil is also believed to be at its thinnest. I know there's so many more examples and I'm going off the top of my head, so feel free to leave them in the comments if you think of any that I didn't mention. In these liminal spaces, besides like petitioning liminal deities and like, other spiritual beings or leaving offerings to them, this is where liminal space workings are done. Things like spirit work and astral travel and dream work, meditation, and divination for some people. This is the space in between to do in-between type working. These are the areas where it is believed that the veil is at its thinnest always. Doesn't matter what time of year it is. The veil is always thin here because it is automatically an in-between place. It is a liminal space because they are neither here nor there. They're famously known as betwixt and between. And because they are neither here nor there, that paves the way for spiritual forces to automatically reside within them. However, since all spiritual forces are like believed to like inhabit these spaces, this is where like that Crossroads like folklore gets a little bit darker. Well, to some, depending on what your belief is. But that is because it is believed that you could also make deals with the devil and his demons at a crossroads. So I'm not sure how many of you have heard of Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson, I'm so sorry, like I spaced out on his name for a second, but Robert Johnson and his famous song Crossroad Blues. I would play it, but it's under copyright law still, so just in case. But I'll leave the link for the video in the description because it is a super haunting blues song. But in the song, he talks about being in the middle of a crossroads just after sunset. Now, the lyrics have interpreted this as he had made a musical deal with Papa Legba, or that he had actually sold his soul to the actual devil. The reports are conflicting depending on people's belief. But most agree that the song talks about him either making a deal with Papa Legba or the devil in order to achieve musical talent. And these interpretations of this song grew even more because then rumors came out after he became famous that he wasn't even able to play guitar before. So how is he famous now? My tummy grumbled. Sorry, I'm so hungry and I'm trying to get this video done. Sorry if you heard that. That wasn't a monster or a ghost. That was my tummy. But not only did they say that he could never play a guitar or he could never sing before, he also died at a very young age. He died at the age of 27. So since he was part of the famous and sad 27 Club, people dissected the lyrics even more to say that this was about his deal with whomever he made it for in order to have musical talent. Now, there are other people who say that the song wasn't even about him. Someone else had wrote the song and then he, made the song, or the song was about someone he knew, or like, I don't know, there's a whole bunch. There's a whole lot of debate about it because it's an older song. But I'm pretty sure I do have a old Crossroads folklore ritual from like the early 1920s, I believe. And it's in, hold on. I have it in like my personal book of shadows. Give me 1 second. I'm going to read it to you. You might find it kind of fascinating. Okay, like I told you, my personal book of shadows is just a regular notebook. My grimoire is all fancy and pretty, but I'm going to read it to you verbatim. I would just show the page, but I literally scribbled like all over it, so I don't know how well you could actually read it. But just so you know, I'm not like hiding anything. But it is called Black Cat Bone Crossroads. Hoodoo folk ritual recorded in 1926. Like I took this from an excerpt of a university. And this is all in quotations. In New Orleans, this bone is obtained by boiling a black boar, tomcat, until the meat has completely left the bones. When this has been done, take the bones together with a small mirror and go to some crossroads in the woods where no one will see you. Stand directly between the forks with your back to the straight road. So this would be a 3-meet crossroads, which some crossroads, like, 3 are very sacred to like Hecate, because she is the triple goddess. So like this, some of the crossroads have deeper meanings. Anyway, hold on. Stand directly between the forks with your back to the straight road, holding the mirror up before you, so the road behind is reflected. So you'd be standing on the straight road, but then you would hold up the mirror so you can see the 2 roads behind you. I'm trying to describe it to you. Then hold your mouth open and pass the bones one by one through it, looking into the mirror all the time. When you get to the right bone, the mirror will become dark and you cannot see a thing in it. Don't be afraid. Hang on to that bone. That is the black cat bone. And by putting it in your mouth, you can make yourself invisible at will. But the trouble is that a man who does this automatically, and this is in quotations, this is written verbatim. I'm going to try to read it the best I can because it's written in someone's accent and I don't want to, I don't want it to come off any certain way, but signs up with the devil. He can do anything he wants in this world, but he should don't tuck his part out of the kingdom. So this is similar to a spell in the Grand Grimoire for invisibility, and I put like a little excerpt with like my notes for it. But it's like they would boil a cat too, but they had different incantations for the meat. So like I put like a weird like awkward side thing into it. And when they're boiling the meat for the Grand Grimoire of Invisibility, which I think is from like the 1700s, I think, or the 17th century, one of those. But anyway, their incantation for boiling the meat is Acepe quaod tibi du, et nihil amplius, which means accept my offering and don't delay. And then when you go through the process to get like the right bone, there is, I think, is on a stairwell versus a crossroads, but I could be misremembering since I don't have that book in front of me. But their incantation for that is Pater immanis tuas commendo spiritum minum, which means into thy hands I commend thy spirit. So there's a little fun tidbit right there of just, random little things. Anyway, but yeah, summoning like a devil or a demon at a crossroads isn't something that's like new by any means. Like back in the 15th century, I have it in one of my books. I don't know which one, it'll take me too long to find. But going through like medieval history, they had like certain magic circles that you would draw at a crossroad to like conjure like demons and such. Anyway, moving forward to the present, what does Crossroads Magick mean in witchcraft? Each magical practice will have their own like interpretation of what the crossroads mean to them. But for like witchcraft generalized, like in of itself, we use it to dispose of spell ingredients. That way we could scatter the energies of everything, most likely baneful workings, because the energies from that spell will neutralize as it gets like lost on the path. And that way like it doesn't follow us home. We use it for workings of like choices and of options. I also personally scream at Crossroads. It's, you know, scream for frustration and stress. I should clarify that. So I go to Crossroads to scream when stressed. And if any of my personal friends are watching, I won't call you out, but you guys remember these scenarios very well. But I will go to a Crossroads. I normally like first scream, like if anyone could hear me, I'm okay. I'm just stressed and I need to scream. You're more than welcome to scream with me. I'll be like, sorry, just be a few seconds, and then I just scream. Sometimes we've had some people come up and they'll be like, we heard you screaming and you said we could join. Can we join? And there was this one time a guy was screaming with like, I guess it was his wife, I'm guessing, because of what he said. We've just had other people who would walk by and just scream for a little bit and be like, oh, I felt better, thanks. But this guy, he was screaming, and then he ended up like, they were just screaming random things to him and the girl that they were with. And we were all kind of like standing in a circle at each point of the crossroads, my friend, myself, and these two people. And he ended up saying something, is like, I can't remember what it was, but I just remember ending it with like, my mother-in-law! And then the girl was like, what? And then they just ended up leaving, but arguing, and then that made me feel really bad. But I was all like, he looked better. Like, he smiled after he said it, and then he had that, oh shit face. So, I don't know. If you're gonna scream at a Crossroads, it does feel amazing, because all that energy gets scattered and then neutralized, but definitely put out a warning first if you do that. I don't know. Maybe they just felt more comfortable screaming in a group instead of like, you know, screaming by themselves. I don't know. I don't care. I do it by myself. I don't really care. So for my Crossroads spell that I'm about to show you, I'm going to show you is like a mix of a few different things. So there are crossroad workings, there are road opener workings, and then there are blockbuster workings. So crossroads is when you have options or choices. Road openings are kind of like when you need to open up a path, when you need to open up a way for you to go. And then blockbuster is when you feel like you're in a dead end and there are obstacles in your way, and you do that to remove the blockages. So most times, definitely not all, but most times someone would do a blockbuster spell, remove all those obstacles. Now, they would do a crossroads working, because now they have options. Once they do their crossroad working, they would do a road opener. That way their path is illuminated for them. Again, you don't have to follow this format. Some only does one. Sometimes people do all three. Some people do it in a different order. I'm just explaining those because some people see crossroads and road opening workings as like one and the same, and others don't. But for my spell, I was giving keys. So keys are seen as offerings to many different deities that are associated with Crossroad. And as well as like the Crossroad Guardians in some booths. Their offerings are keys. But I, give keys to go over like my choices and my paths in life. And I did it on All Souls Day, November 2nd, which is why when you watch the video, my offering was an apple. In case there were any spirits walking on that liminal space as I was going by to. Like I said, I would have filmed this at the very beginning if I thought about it, but I didn't think about it till I was leaving. So what I did in the beginning, since it is not filmed, I had taken a cleansing and purification bath to remove all like stagnant energies from myself. I had mixed in some water, some moon water, some holy water, some Florida water, some salt, some rue and some hyssop, which I kept in a little bag, like a little gossamer bag. That way, one, all the herbs don't get stuck down my drain and clog my tub, and two, that way I could disperse of the herbs at Crossroads. But when you have these spiritual baths, like the cleansing and purification bath, if you're doing any ritual baths, it is normally like customary to take a cleansing bath before your ritual bath. I know it sounds like a lot of work, but like if you're not part of that practice, if that doesn't work for you, you don't have to do it. I'm just explaining like what I did. But I took my cleansing bath, you pour all the water all over your head. I scrubbed myself with the little bag full of herbs. I didn't use any soap or anything else like that. I just used the herbs and sat in the water. And then when I got out, I took a bottle and I filled it with my bath water. Then I ran the shower, rinsed everything off my body, dried off super quick because I want to make sure I wiped off as much as I could. Cleaned the tub, like physically cleaned the tub for my next bath. And then I poured Florida water and then ritual water water down the drain to make sure that energy doesn't seep back up. I know this sounds like a lot. I'm just, again, telling you what I did. Then after I poured the magical waters down the drain, I did another rinse of the bathtub, and then I filled it for I did a road opening bath, but I also did an unveiling the keys bath. So I combined 2 oils, 2 soaps, some herbs in the bath water, and then I just soaked and immersed myself. I didn't do any washing or anything else like that. I just sat there and I soaked and I let it absorb into me. And then I had sprinkled some of the herbs and powders, because again, when you get out of a ritual bath, no one talks about this, but when you get out of a bath, especially if you're doing it for a certain purpose, you want the first thing that you make contact with to be related to that. So I sprinkled some of it on the ground. And I also put oil on my feet, but oil and water don't mix, and unless you have really good balance, I wouldn't recommend that. But anyway, so then I sat in there while the water drained, so I was in the water as much as possible. Oh, and before I drained the water, I took the keys and I dumped them in the bath water that had my essence in it, as well as the properties of the road opening. So I had dipped the 2 keys in there. Then I had drained the bathtub, sat in there while it drained, had scooped in some of my ritual bath water, so I had my essence into a smaller jar, put that off to the side, sprinkled my herbs and powders, so that way when I got out of the bath, that was the first thing that I stood on. So I was standing on that as I air dried, because for that, I didn't want to wipe off any of that water. I wanted that to stay imbued and dry on my skin. Ritual baths and cleansing baths and spiritual baths are amazing. Some can be kind of complex, some can be super duper simple. I can do a video on them if you want, but anyway, I did the cleansing and purification bath first to make sure that I was fully cleansed and purified before doing my road opening bath. And then I collected my waters, and then I went to the crossroads to do this spell, and I went to a physical crossroads and a hiking path. I traveled to get there. It was kind of close to an airport. I shouldn't have done that, but that's why I might stop randomly in the video. But let's go to those crossroads now. Welcome to my favorite crossroads. You're sitting in a tree right now. Pardon my haggard appearance. I had just taken all my baths and I was starting to do this spell, and I realized that you guys never really actually see me perform a lot of spell work, so I decided to take you along with this. The crossroads that I'm at right now is a hiking path. There's ones of many all around my state, so I had to travel to get here. And almost all of them are located next to a dog park, and Hecate and dogs. So that's a nice little happy added-in factor. Now, for this spell, again, you don't have to do your spells the way that I do them. I'm just showing you how I do mine, so hopefully I inspire you. But what I have to dispose of first, sorry, there are leaves everywhere if you can hear them in the background, is my cleansing bath water with the herbs that I used in the bath. So I used root and hyssop along with some salt. Sorry, there are animals everywhere. You could kind of see some debris in there, probably not. It sunk down to the bottom. But I'm dispersing of my bath water that was cleansing here at the crossroads to disperse that energy. And then after that, I saved my road opening bath water to put on top of my spell, along with the road opening herbs that I used in my bath, which is basically apple camino, with some bay leaves and other herbs thrown in there. I have an apple for the offering because when I'm doing this, it is Saturday and it is November 2nd, so it is All Souls Day. So again, doing these types of spells are perfect in November because the veil is still thin and it's remembrance of the dead, and this is food for the dead. So this apple is going to be my offering and my thanks. And apples are safe for the wildlife. I just didn't want to get too many because if dogs eat too many apples, they can get sick from it because of the apple seeds. But one wouldn't do any to harm any type of dog. So I just got one just in case a dog gets a hold of it. I have a jar to collect some crossroads dirt because I need some more. And I have some 2 skeleton keys. So these skeleton keys are from Hammett's Haunted Castle in Massachusetts. I did have a vlog about it and I showed when I got these. The keys are perfect because one, they're a symbol of offering to many different guardians of the crossroads and crossroads spirit, as well as unlocking doors and opening paths, as you're going to see from my incantation. Why I have 2 keys. Oh, there's an airplane going by. It's already kind of starting to get foggy. I don't know if you could tell from looking at that path, but there's fog rolling in. And I know my camera won't be able to pick up on all the different colors in the forest. I don't know if you could hear the birds and everything. There's blue jays, which again makes me think of my mother, and woodpeckers, chickadees. It's just a happy mix of everything. So I'm going to start the spell. And feel free to use my incantation if you want to do the same way or put your own creative twist on it. But now that we know a little bit more about the crossroads, let's begin. Also, while this path is secluded, it is not that far from a dog park as most of these are. My only fear is that someone just walks up while I'm in the middle of this, because I'm going to probably have my hood on because my hair is still wet from my bath. And I hear someone playing with their dog like 50 feet away, even though I can't see him to the trees. So that's going to be awkward. There's a whole bunch of blue jays. While I'm digging my... It looks like a little grave. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. Makes me think of my mom. There's so many. So cool. All the blue jays are hanging out in the tree behind me. I don't think you can see. But the reason why I have 2 keys is because I'm going to be keeping one. I'm going to be keeping this one. And I'm giving the bigger key to the spirits of the crossroads. Now, I had dunked both of these in my bath water. I know that sounds so weird, but in my road opening bath water, after I took my cleansing spiritual bath, and I dunked it in my ritual bath water that I took after this. So you won't be able to see much because I don't have much to use for a stand. But I'm going to try and clip my mic to me. Hopefully there's like not a lot of interference, but my little grave hole that I put for the keys is like over here, and I have to prop you up against the tree. So when I'm done doing my incantation and burying the when I bury the key, I'm gonna be putting the herbs from my bath on top of the key. Obviously not with the bag, because the bag isn't biodegradable. And then once I'm done putting the dirt on top of it and reburying it, I'm going to put in my bath water so it still has the essence of me seeped in. And then I'm going to put my apple on top as my offering. So let's begin. Betwixt and between, where shadows meet light, this key you keep to unlock my sight. This magic is old, this magic is true. One key for my paths, the other key for you. Open the paths that are hidden from my sight. Guide my decisions. Bring wisdom to right. With each choice I ponder, let clarity reign, making sure I look before I leap into storms of rain. Twixt and between, the veil grows thin. Open the way for my new highest good journeys to begin. At this sacred conjuncture, a sacred space I create. As I walk through the crossroads, let magic await. Dog started barking. Bury that nice and good. I'm gonna rub my key on the dirt on top of the crossroads and put it in my pocket. I normally would put it in the jar with the other dirt, but it wouldn't fit. It's just too tall for the top. But if you have smaller skeleton keys, you could keep it in the jar of dirt, the crossroads dirt. gosh, it smells so good. This is the most unflattering angle of me. Another dog. I don't know if you could pick it up. I had to keep pausing in between because there was a guy walking by on his phone over there. And I'm literally like in the woods, all dressed in black with like skeleton keys and a knife and a jar of dirt and bags and apples and herbs. So like I kind of look like so cliche right now. So I was like, don't come down this path. There's 6 paths that meet right here. But it's literally on the other side of the tree on the phone. So if you could hear him, I'm sorry. That's why I kept stopping. But my key now is covered with the dirt. All the birds are back again. I don't know if you can hear them. They had like stopped when I was doing the spell, which was pretty cool. And now I gotta move my phone so I could put the apple down, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done, but that's basically it. A very simple Crossroads spell. You could leave pennies if you wanted to, but I'm leaving an apple for the dead. Dog barked again. Alright. Let's change angles. Get my apple. I should have stuck closer to home. There's tons of airplanes going by. Anyway. Take my apple. Put it up closer to the tree. Right there, because this is where I buried everything. And I'm going to put the leaves back. That would keep all the buggies nice and warm. I don't know if you could hear all the birds. Oh, the sun's starting to come out too. You can see all the different paths that way, and then behind me, and then back there, and then everything that way. So the only thing now that I'm going to do different is I'm just going to take a different path than the one I walked in on. That way the bath water doesn't follow me and the energy disperses. But it's always a habit for me. I always take a different path on this than I took in. Because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 paths in this section. I don't know how well you could see all those. So, perfect timing. I think someone's coming. All right, let's head out. So that was my Crossroads spell, and I have one more announcement. I waited to the end of the video to say this, just in case you're just here for the spell and not for anything else. But I kind of have merch now, kind of. I wanted to make a positive shirt in a way that could make people feel like a little witchy without advertising it too much, but then also spreading generosity and good juju to other people. So I have little shirts. They're on Bonfire. There's, Crystal the Cottage Witch. There's Cottage Coven Member. And most of them on the back say, I hope good things happen to you. And there's in t-shirts, they're in regular t-shirts, soft t-shirts, long sleeves, they're in hoodies. There is no obligation to buy them whatsoever. You do not have to. Bonfire makes everything a little bit more expensive if I want everything shipped out to you guys. But here's a little clip of me opening it. All right, pardon the weird camera angle and there's no microphone, but I just got my shirt in, the first one for my merch. I'm just trying one at a time, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. All right, show it to you guys first. My eyes are closed. Hopefully this is going to be in frame. Oh, did they give me two? Okay, I can't see. I feel like that's... All right, hold on. I'm messing this up. Sorry. All right. Oh, my eyes went open. I believe this is the front. And then this is the back. All right, eyes open. Oh! So there's a little cross broomsticks on the front. Oh, and I love the back. And this is to spread good juju to everyone that you walk across, because on the back of the shirt it says, I hope good things happen to you, which is what I say in the end of my videos. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, that is long for a small. I have Halloween decorations everywhere, so I'm taking down my Halloween decorations. I'm also mad short, so. Oh, I have a shirt. I have a shirt. Oh, I have a shirt. Oh, okay, I'm on my lunch. I have to go back to work. Okay, bye. I was wearing it in the Crossroad video, but you don't see it, and it got dirty, so I can't wear it now because I haven't got a chance to wash it because I just got back home. Again, no obligation. I just wanted to share it with you guys. But I hope you're having a good night, evening, morning, dusk, dawn, whatever energy, space, and time that you're in. And I really, truly hope that good things happen to you. Bye!